Hello, welcome back. Nigel with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and welcome to the party. So here we are, part 7 now of the build of this Eurofighter starter set, and this is aimed at beginners who want to take that extra step. It was originally going to be an absolute beginners video, but it turns out the kit is not really for beginners at all. So if it is your first kit and you want to do a real nice job, perhaps put this away. Go and get yourself the Airfix Spitfire starter set with a P51 or something. They really are easy to put together. I've got the Spitfire here. It's kindly sent to me by Moss. I must do a beginner's build on that and use only what is in the box. But we'll get round to that. Anyway, so when I left you last time, I'd messed up the canopy, cleaned it up, got it refitted. It would appear that perhaps I had a bit of a dodgy moulding here, because I know someone asked Luke, who's actually building one of these, and they didn't have anything like the issues that I've had with the front. I still have a step there. There is still a step on that canopy. But if you remember, I carved away a lot of plastic from the combing to get the canopy to sit down. And as you could see when I had the glue capillary underneath, it was still that close. It was touching it. So yeah, so not good. So you can see I've got what I did. I went on and showed you gluing the canopy on with white glue and everything. So that's that done. Right, so what I've done after that video was made, I just put a couple of drops of extra thin in the sides here because I knew it was safe. That's just to give it a proper secure bonding. And then I've painted around the edge with black Mr. Surfacer, just like I did down here with grey Mr. Surfacer, and then gone around with a cotton bud and removed it. And then just now this morning I've actually masked the canopy ready for paint. So basically I've done this under a microscope or a magnifier because I need to, because my eyes are shut. I've got an eye test tomorrow, so that'll be cool. Tomorrow being Tuesday. So this is basically how I do it. I mean, these days you can buy mask sets for pretty much everything, and that's what I always do given the option. So here's a windscreen for something or other. I'm not sure what it's for, but basically what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of masking tape, put it over the panel like that. I've chosen this one because it's easy to show you on camera. And then using a cocktail stick, I'm just going to come in and go around and push the tape into the edge. This is a really common technique that everyone does. There's nothing special about it. It's not like I'm the master of masking or anything. It's just everyone does the same. Okay, so that's that down in there like that. Right. And so now you can see that we've got if I just push it in a bit more, we've got a very definite edge to work to. You can see there's an edge on there. And then I'm using this little Alpha P cutter knife. And what I'm going to do, I might mess this up because, as I say, I need a magnifier to do this. But basically what I'm doing is coming in 45 degrees. So if you can imagine where you've gone round with your cotton bud, if you can imagine you've got like a square edge and you've gone and pushed it in, I'm coming in at 45 degrees. So I'm coming in sort of into the corner, rather than, I don't want to be like this because I'll stray off. If I'm like this, too much of the knife will go off. So I'll do is come in at 45 degrees and then just literally follow what I've done. And at the end of it, there's a radius. So just come halfway around the radius. And then I'm going to go in again 45 degrees, following it along just like so. And then at the end there's a radius, round the radius, and then down like that. And then what I'm going to do is go back the other way. And this is a little technique that I've never seen anyone use before. But if you go back the other way, where you've come round the corners, you may have missed a bit. And going back the other way will help you to pick up what you might have missed. And you can pick up where you've cut before as well. Right, then we're going to gently lift the tape and see what happens. Now you can see that that corner there has come away. That corner there has come away. I think this corner here is hanging on. So what we're going to do, we're going to come along here, just pull that tape back down out of the way. Come along there, cut down there and around, and there we go. Now you can see that has been masked, ready for painting. Okay, so that's basically how I do it. It's a lot easier to do on there than it was on there because of obviously all the curved surfaces. What I've done there, I've used 2 pieces of 10mm tape over the front. Okay, so they're butted up together, and then I've used a piece of 10mm there, piece of 10mm there, piece of 10mm over the top, and a piece on there, just to fill in. So there we go. I'm just going to check here. It looks like I may have got this slightly off. I'm just going to check and see if that needs a little trim, and then I'll be straight back. Okay, so yeah, I was slightly out on that little edge there, so just trim that back. So what we need to do now, if you really want to make your models nice and you want to make them, you know, really up there, then the thing to remember is when you paint the outside of the canopy, whatever colour you paint it will be seen from the inside. Now this cockpit is fundamentally black, so what I'm going to do is paint this canopy frame black first, and then whatever I paint over the top, when you remove the masking, the inside of the canopy frame will show black. Where this is really appropriate, if you're doing something like a Thunderbird's plane or something like that, something that's got a lot of white in it, if you just spray the white, when you take the masking off, when you look at the plane like this from the side, you will see the white of the canopy showing through, and it looks horrible. So it's always worth just going over it in black first, or if it's a World War II fighter aircraft, you know, British, American, you use an interior green colour that's appropriate for that aircraft, and it always looks much better. And also, if you are wanting to go that one step further, if you're doing larger scale stuff, you know, 48th and upwards, you'll get companies like ASK who will make internal and external masks. So you have a mask for the inside and the outside, so you actually spray the inside and then remove it, and then when you actually look from the outside you can see the green inside through the clear. It looks incredible. If you want to see a good view of that, go and see my 1/32 scale Revell Hurricane build. I did it on that. I think I did it on the Airfix 124 Spitfire as well. Used the internal and external, and it looks bloody great. It really does look good. It's well worth doing if the masks are available. So what we need to do now is obviously get this black paint on here, let it dry, and then I'm going to give the complete model, a coat of grey primer, and I'm going to use Mr. Surfacer. I have just got the VMS no peel surface primer, but I don't want to try that on this because we're doing a video. I'd rather try it on something I'm not too fussed about and see how it goes. Also, it's a dark grey. It's a very dark grey. I would rather use a light grey, and then it will show up better any problems we've got with any seams or anything. Light grey is always the way to go for your seam, you know, for your seam checking and stuff. So I'm going to get this spray black, and then I'll give the whole model a coat of grey primer. And so we've got our grey primer down. As you can see, the seam on the bottom is looking all nice. All around here is looking nice. Down here around the nose cone, it's all looking good. The bit that looks terrible, as we most expected, is the front of the canopy. And as you can see here, now you may be happy with this. You may be happy with that. I'm not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more Mr. Surfacer in there, and then instead of using a cotton bud to remove it, I'm going to sand it. Because what's happening is we've got quite a big gap. There's quite a big join, and when you use the cotton bud with the Mr. Surfacer to remove it, you remove it from the whole join. So what I'll have to do there is sand it. Now I wish I hadn't fitted this refueling probe here, but unfortunately I have, and I'm not got a chance breaking it off, but I wish I hadn't fitted it because it's going to make sanding that side a lot more difficult. But we shall see. We'll see how we get on. But this canopy has been, for me, the real bugbear of this kit. As I say, I think I've got a dodgy mould, and I think it might have had a big sink in it or something. I don't know. But I know Luke's went a lot easier than mine, because if Luke had to do the amount of work that I did to get this on, he would have known about it. So there we go. Something that is looking good is this panel on the side here. Remember, we filled this panel here to get rid of that great big step in there. So that's done. So happy with that. So yeah, it's just a case now of getting some Mr. Surfacer into there. I'll probably put a piece of masking tape actually across the back of the nose cone so that we can retain that panel line. So start in the middle. When you're on a cone, start in the middle and work out, and then you can pull the tape accordingly, just like so. There we go. So now when we put the Mr. Surface on, we won't get any on the nose cone or into that seam. But yeah, we'll see how it looks after we've had a little play with it. Okay, so moving on. This is like 3 days later, I think now, because I've had to wait for everything to dry. With Mr. Surface, that's the one trouble. If you want to sand it, you need to give it sort of 24 hours, because otherwise it just all gunges up and clogs up all your sanding sticks. But you can see here what I've done is gone around the side. We did the Mr. Surfacer again all the way around, and then went over with the cotton bud. And here at the front, I've sanded it, and I had to put another application in. Now I want to try and show you something here. Hopefully it'll work out. If it doesn't, then it's a good thing. You can see this here, and it all looks nice and smooth. You can see I've gone around with the black paint as well, because we went through the grey primer in certain places. So always remember that you want the black paint on the inside of your canopy frame, or green, or whatever it is you're working on. So what we've done here, we've masked up to the line of the actual nose cone, and then put Mr. Surfacer in. Then I've sanded it back, and I still had a bit of a recess. If I something to point with, I still had a bit of a recess. You can see there's like a line, and there was a bit of a recess there. So what I've done is gone over again and then sanded it again. So we can see now that's looking pretty nice. But what I want to try and show you is, you can't just look at that and think it looks nice. This is where you need your primer. Even if you're brushing it on, you can brush something on there and it will show you what it's like, particularly if you use the light grey like this. It will show you if there's any imperfections there, because you can, believe me, you can get something like this that looks absolutely fine, and as soon as you put the paint on, it's a mess. So hopefully it'll come out as a mess so I can show you what I mean, but if it doesn't, then it's great, because it means it's smooth and done. So let me get some primer sprayed on there, and then I'll come straight back and show you exactly how it looks. Okay, so as expected, it doesn't look very good. So you can see that it's, I mean, bear in mind, if you are a beginner, if you're new to this, you might think this looks amazing, but I want to make this as good as I possibly can. But we can see here, there's a little bit of an undercut there, but I'm not worried about that, because that's going to sand out easily. We've got a definite line here. You can see where I've sanded up there. So there's a definite line that you couldn't see before it was painted. If you go back, hit the back arrow button on your keyboard 4 or 5 times, and it'll take you back, and you'll see exactly the same shot before it was primed. So yeah, it's not looking amazing, but I'm going to give it another sand and another quick prime, and try and make it as perfect as I possibly can. So see you in a bit. Okay, so sanded out and then painted black again, because I decided to sand some more out at the back end here. This canopy is awful. It's a really bad fit. It's too wide back here as well. It's terrible. It really does let the model down, because otherwise the model is lovely. But I think, as I said, I think I've got a dodgy part, because you know, I've seen Luke's build of this, and his canopy looks much better than mine, and he didn't do any work to fit it. So it's not like he's done loads of work and made it fit better than me. It's just he plonked it on and it worked. All he did was cut the log off at the back. So I don't know. But anyway, you can see I've gone around and sanded that step out at the front, and then I've painted it over in black. So now I'm just going to show you. I've gone back to my little Iwata airbrush here for these tiny little jobs, purely because the gallery airbrush is much better with its bigger cup and everything, and I find it really nice to use. But the Iwata, for these tiny little drops of paint, is much easier to clean. What you can do with the gallery is remove the cup. Okay, you don't have to have the paint cup on there. You can remove the cup and just put a small drop of paint down in there. But because it's got this removable cup, you can see that in here we have some sharp edges and shoulders and everything. And when they're made like this, it's a lot easier to do them. So I'm just going to come along and put some grey primer over this, because that will be our telltale, and it will also show us if we've got any funny lines or anything in it. We'll just cover up the black, otherwise we'll end up with like a pre-shading effect. More of that later. Just want to make sure the whole thing is primed in grey. As you can see, that tiny little drop of paint in there is enough so that you don't always need to go pouring the paint in. Alright, so there we are. So that's looking a lot better now. There should be more of a line around the back there, but I think I'm going to leave. I may try and put something in there, but I don't know. I'm really not over the moon with it. I think it's as good as it's going to get. So there we go. Somebody's trying to get hold of me by the sound of things. So yeah, I'm happy with that down on that front end. It's looking good. It looks like we need to do a little bit of work down inside there, but that won't notice once it's all painted and everything and washed. But what I'll do now is do something called well, actually no, I'm going to have a look at putting a line in the back of this canopy here. This is what we can do there. Hang on. Okay, so using a little pointed tool, I was able to just scratch that. You can use a pin or anything for this. Just basically scratch a line into where the Mr. Surface is. You can see here I went way offline. I'm going to have to fill that and repair it, which is a shame, which is going to slow us down even more. Spending days on this bloody canopy. It's not days of work, it's days of waiting for it to dry. But you can see here, got that there, and when it comes to that front edge we just push the pin. That'll save you going offline. Okay, so now we've got a line, a definite line around that canopy, so that when it's painted it will show. If we've got any paint left in the airbrush. No, we don't. If I just put a drop of paint in the airbrush, literally, I'll show you how much I put in there. It's literally a drop off the end of a brush, just like so. And that'll be enough to go around there. And it saves us getting the cup all dirty. It's just the bottom that needs cleaning. Saves you having to clean all the cup out. But we can see that scratch line there. I'm gonna have to fill that and sand it, which probably means I'll have to go back over with the black again. Oh dear, 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 dear. This is getting very tiresome, guys. Right, back in a bit. And there we go. Finally, we are there. Finally, this bloody canopy is done. So much work. Well, it's not so much work, it's bloody having to stop and wait for things to dry. As you can see, we've got it nicely blended there at the front. Nice and smooth. We've got the line around there to show the sort of opening part of the canopy. I think the front part actually hinges up as well, but I wanted to get it nice and smooth. The other thing I wanted to quickly show you was re-establishing detail. As you can see on here, there is a panel around here that's got some like rivet detail or something. So when you're sanding, you will start to lose that detail. So the best thing to do is before you start sanding, is pick up the holes with a sharp pin or something, anything, and just make a deeper indentation in the part, and then when you sand you won't lose it. Rather than try and re-establish something you've sanded away, if you make it too deep to start with, and then when you sand, you're sanding back to what it was. Okay, so you just pick up where it is and just literally press in with a pin, just like so, and you can feel where the holes are even if you can't see them. You just, when you stroke across it just very gently, and you'll feel it, just push the pin in like so. There's another one up there, I think. Yep, there is. There's one there. And there's going to be another one here. Yeah, you'll feel it. Even if you can't see it, you will feel your tool go into it. Alright, so there you go. They're reinstated. And a little sanding sponge, just sand over the top, just to remove any sort of raised areas. You can see I've done it on here as well. So that's that. Okay, so now I want to look at something called pre-shading. Now, pre-shading is argued by a lot of people that it is inaccurate. I actually believe I've seen aircraft that have the pre-shaded effect. It's not actually pre-shading, but it kind of looks like it. And what it is, it's enhancing panels. Now, if you just spray this grey and put your decals on, it will look a beautiful model. But if you want to use some artistic license and actually make it sort of, give it some depth, give it some body, what we can do is go around all these panel lines on here with some dark grey or black paint and just make a line around every single panel line, all along here on the elevons, all along the leading edge there, around these grills. And then when you spray the grey, you can put it on lightly and you'll see that coming through, and you'll almost get like the effect. You can see here these streaks, that's where the primer is thinner. And you'll see what I mean when I do it. And you've no doubt seen it before. All underneath here you see we can enhance all these panel lines around the undercarriage doors and everything, and just really sort of make everything pop. Now we don't have to worry about doing this back here because this is all going to get masked off and sprayed with metallic paints in the end. But right here, right now, you can see I've just noticed something else. Because of the grey primer, we have a bit of a seam line there. So we wouldn't have spotted that had we not put grey primer down. So there we go, we just scrape that away. But on the whole, really happy. I wish the intakes were a bit deeper, but never mind. We're going to get in there with some black paint afterwards and clean them up and brush them. Either brush them or spray them. But right now I want to do some pre-shading, and then we'll call that a day for this video, and then the next one we can move on to painting and stuff. So I'm going to get my airbrush ready. I'm going to use the Galeri Mobius 0.2 because it's a small airbrush and it's great for these little tiny details like this. And it's quite a warm day today, so we might see some tip dry. So I'm going to have to use extremely thinned paint, I think. But we'll see how we go. Right, see you in a sec. Okay, so this is the little Mobius 0.2 airbrush from Galeri. And it's a great little thing for doing stuff like this, as is the Iwata, but I just thought I'd show you this one because they send me these for free, so it's only kind that I use them, isn't it? Now, this on here is called a Mac valve, and this we can reduce the amount of air coming out. I would usually have the pressure a lot lower than I'm using it now, but the trouble is because, as I say, it's such a warm day, you're going to get a lot of tip dry. So I'm not going to worry about that. I've just noticed as well, you can see on here, because of the grey primer, we've got a seam line on the top of that pylon. So we can come along and sand that away. That's a moulding seam, it's not two parts joined together. So it's not as pronounced as it might be. That's that got rid of. There we go. We've also got there's very slight remnants of one on here. I've sanded them away, but obviously not done it good enough. Not done a thorough enough job. So there we go. So that's those gone. Job done. Right. So with pre-shading, what we're going to do, I've got a scrap of paper here. We're basically going to come along and put thin lines down. So you can see the closer I go, the thinner the line I can get. You can see I'm also suffering tip dry. The closer I go, this is Tamiya LP3 by the way, this is flat black and it's thinned roughly 70%, so it's very, very thin, it's almost like ink. And a little tip for you new airbrushers, I always show this, if you watch when I press the trigger, watch what happens. So get that spatter of paint, I do that. If I do it again, I'll do it over here, see here is clear, okay, that's because I'm not using the airbrush properly. When you spray, you go down, you pull back, and then when you finish, you go forward and up. So I'll go down, pull back, go forward and up, and then I won't get spatter. You see here? No spatter. Go over here, come back, let it go, spatter. Come back, forward and up, no spatter. Alright, so that's always worth remembering. The other thing is, if it's a habit you can't get out of, what you want to do is when you start spraying, just start spraying off the model and come onto it. Okay, and then the spatter will go elsewhere. Alright, so for the pre-shading, what we're going to do is go around all these panels and everything. So I'm going to come in nice and close. It's nice to do this on the bench if you can, so you've got two hands, it makes it a lot steadier. So we're going to come down, and we're just going to come into this panel here, and just go around it like that. It doesn't, the more untidy it is, the better it really. What I'm doing, I'm not cutting the air, I'm just cutting the paint, and that reduces any risk of any spatter. You can see I'm going around these panels, just like so. And you don't want nice, sharp, clean edges. I remember years ago I saw somebody did this with a magic marker, and it looked terrible because it had all these tight square edges. I'm starting to get some tip dry, I think. Which is not the airbrush, it's not the paint, it's just the fact that it's too warm to be doing this. Okay, we may get better now. There we go. As you can see, all I'm doing is going around and I'm just going to highlight every single area where we've got this grill. We're going to make sure we get in there with the paint. Make sure we get in there from all the angles so the paint really goes into that grill. Same here, this grill here. And then when you go over it with the grey, you'll have the black lad in there. Same here. Make sure we're getting all the angles proper black. marks in there, and then back here we'll go around, we'll come down this line here, up there, along there, up there, and there, up there, up there. As you can see, it looks quite messy. We're also going to do around here because we're going to be masking up to that edge, so we want, there's a panel line there, so we do want some black in there. Same on the tail here, we've got the rudder. As you can see, it's a little bit wonky, that doesn't matter. You're hardly going to see any of it. So the grill there. Remember, this is not a feature, this is an effect, so it's not something you need to be concentrating on to be perfect. Go around there as well. Go up there. And again, this is not something you have to do, it's just something you'll see when I've done it. You'll see it really adds an effect. Along that seam there. Okay. And then same on the wing there on the slats. Over the top, just like so. There we go. So I'm going to carry on do the rest of the model just like that, and then I'll come back and we'll call it a day. And there you go. So there's your maybe your first look at pre-shading. As you can see, it doesn't need to be neat and tidy. You can see I've missed a bit there, so I'll have to go over that again. But I don't think I've got any paint left in the airbrush. Yeah, we have just enough to just get in there and put something in there. But you know, as I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't matter if you miss bits, whatever. You can have dark bits, light bits, you know, big bits, very tight bits. It doesn't really matter because you're going to be covering it up, and if you don't like the effect, you just put more paint on and cover it up anyway. But you will see that when we spray it, it will actually come through. I'm going to use Outlaw Paints Barley Grey, if I can find it now. RAF Light Aircraft Grey, is that the one? Or we want Barley Grey. Okay, so there's our Barley Grey. You can see they're basically pretty much the same colour. But these paints are great. They're Outlaw Paints. They're made in Australia. They're available in the UK from outlawpaints.co.uk. And as you can see, a quick shake is all it needs. Alright, just put that lid back on there. I'm just going to check there's no sediment in the bottom. I should be able to see the liquid all the way to the bottom, and I can. You can just see a line there where the liquid is. So that's good. Okay, and with this stuff, I'm just going to, I haven't even cleaned the black out the airbrush. I'm just going to pour some of this in here, just to show you. I'm going to grab a piece of tissue paper and clean this up before it all goes everywhere. Okay, put that back in the stand, and also always clean the top of your bottles off, otherwise the paint all cakes up in your threads and you can get the leaking and paint drying out and all sorts. But we can see here I've just put that in top of the black, so it's not going to be the right colour, but you will see here that I will be able to just literally, I'm going to do a little bit and I'll do the rest on the next video, but I will just be able to just fade this on, as you can see, very, very lightly. Now it's too dark because it's got the black in it as well, but you can see here the effect we're going to be getting when we actually spray the paint on. And I don't know if you can see that, but as the paint dries, the black pulls through. So if you do go a bit heavy, don't worry, just come back as you go away. It will go back. You'll see the pre-shading coming back. Okay, so once again we can go over there again. Okay, and you should be able to watch that before your very eyes. The black will come back, but you can see here how you can get the effect the pre-shading. Just like so. Okay, so that's how she's going to look when we finally come to spray her. So I'll get a little bit more of this on just to use this up. I'll only do the underneath because, as I say, it's going to be a little bit too dark because it's mixed with the black that was in there. But just very lightly dusting it on. It's smelly as well. This, one of the downsides with the outlaw paints is it's pretty much the only downside really is the smell. You can see how this back end has darkened up again already. This again, this is the little Mobius 0.2. You can see there the pre-shading effect. A lot of people say it's not realistic, it's not realistic. It's not realistic, no. I have seen it on older aircraft that have this effect. But basically it's just adding something to it. You can see it's got more body to it, rather than just having grey, you know, just having light grey. So, just put a little bit on this wing. I think we're out now, yeah, we're out of paint now, so just use that little bit of paint up. But there we go, so you can see the effect we're going to be getting. So what I'll probably do is actually spray it off camera so I can do it in the booth, and then in the next video I'll come back and it'll be all painted and dry and ready to go on to the next step. So thank you for watching. I will see you all soon for part 8, and see you then. Any questions? Stick them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.